Well, I saw this article in the paper today that I thought I'd share with you, mainly because you got to know what's going on in D.C. because it's mostly theater, but it's actually hurting people. Now, here's what's happened in D.C. Where the Low Income Energy Assistance Program is a great program all over the country, and it gives you like almost $2,800 to pay for utilities. It's a one time for winter and a one time for summer. And it depends on what state you live in, but so every state is different. But in D.C., the people are complaining because what the government did, the White House did, is cut out all the people who give out money for this program. So you can't do it, and they stop. And then people, particularly in Washington, D.C., I'm sure all over, they lose their job because they just got fired like overnight in the government, hundreds of thousands, or at least tens of thousands. The official program isn't there. So people are hurting, they lose their job, they've been working at 10, 15, 20 years or whatever it is, and now they can't pay the utility bills. And the story here is somebody who worked for HUD and all of a sudden got fired. Can't pay his utility bills because he's got to pay for food. Okay, so there's a lot of issues there, of course, but I want you to know there's help, and no matter what it is, because everybody who lives in America receives an average of $18,000 worth of government benefits, and they're trying to cut that or just scare people out of applying for it so they don't have to pay people. And that to me is sort of like, now the rich people get grants through the IRS, so they don't have to pay taxes. So the rich people complain about paying taxes. The poor people don't pay that many taxes, so they can't get benefits through the tax system, so they give them grants. Now, if you cut out, like rich people don't have to pay for health care. So they get a tax break. So they get tax-free health care. And so if you cut that out, what is Trump going to do that? Cut out tax breaks, all those tax breaks. Rich people, don't have to pay mortgage money. Well, we all don't, on things that used to be even investment property, and that was crazy. But even the tax credit on our loans, we don't have to pay that. So if they did something like that, you think you get away with that? No, because these things that he's cutting out from the government, because that costs money. Giving somebody a tax break costs as much money to us as Americans as it does a grant. So there's really no different. It's just a different pot that's coming in, but it's still the same kitchen. Okay. So what do you do if that happens to you? Well, first of all, that's because here's what's going on. These are my favorite graphs now, graphs that show you what's going on in this country. Consumer prices are going through the roof. So now, over the last 45 years or so, the consumer price increased over 383%. Wow. And that's a big jump, cost of living. So now it costs you a lot more money to live on, just like those utility bills. And why? And they say utility bills are going up, mainly because the AI. We have these farms now that have to run computers, and they use a hell of a lot of electricity. So all our utilities bill is going to be going up because of AI. And then the other thing that's happening is wages are going nowhere. So here's the last 45 years of wages, with an average wage for the top 90% only went up 33%, but cost of living went up 400%. So you're bailing water every day, or at least 90% of the country is, trying to stay alive and that. So when they cut out this, you have to complain. Because you have a right to live here, you have a right to have the benefits. Everybody, has a right to the benefits in there by law, and they're playing with the system and seeing how much they can get away with. And most of the stuff they're not even getting away with it. The court's stopping it, but they find another way to do that. So the way to do that is to go to commoncause.org, and put in your zip code, find my representative, commoncause.org. Or you could go here, I forgot to put this, Capitol Hill Switchboard, CAPITOL, Capitol Hill Switchboard, ITC. See, I thought it would, oh, here it is. Yeah, I thought it would come up because I've read it. Okay. You want to call this number, 224 or 202-224 and then 3121. 202-224-3121. Ask for your elected official and bitch. That's what it takes. If you don't bitch, you won't be rich. That's terrible, but maybe it works. Now, another thing you want to do is find other sources to pay those bills. So if you go to Find Help, FINDHELP, put in your zip code like I do for mine, so 20001, and now you put in utilities. So you see, find what other government programs, benefits are utilities, UTILITIES. Put that in there, okay? Okay, tell them what they want. Okay, 116 programs to help people pay their utilities. So if that one low-income energy assistance program isn't available, you have to start calling these people. 116 organizations in your zip code. We have 800,000 programs like this all over the country. And there's a couple thousand in my zip code. There's a couple thousand in your zip code that are government benefits because you live in America. Okay, you don't even have to be a citizen for most of these. Yeah. And so that's why you call, and the way to do this, you have to get on the phone and start calling as many as you can, even though you're not. Maybe this is one just for veterans. That's all. You call them anyway and say, I'm not a veteran, but you know of any other places, because they work all day solving people with this kind of problem. So they'll know of other places, be better than I would or anybody else is, because I don't even live in your zip code. So that's one thing. Then also what you want to do is go to findhelp.org, and you want to fight anybody in the government that doesn't give you what you deserve. Okay, one is your elected official, and you call that 800 number, or go to Common Cause. The other way is there's nonprofit organizations that'll fight for you, in government programs. So that's available too. And so you find them by going to your zip code and then clicking on legal over here, okay? And you'll see there's 282 organizations that give you free legal help. So you want representation. So here's representation for free. Legal representation, there's one here. Medicaid legal services. Somebody, when you want to fight Medicaid, okay? They're there to fight that for you. Legal assistance for survivors of sexual exploitation. See, all this legal help. Free legal clinics, okay? Read for them. So how to know your rights, to use the system, to get what you deserve. You pay for the system, you paid for all these, just like a billionaire does. They pay for it, and they use every goddamn penny, and they got, I'm sure, a hell of a lot more. Elon Musk got $38 billion. Yeah, he gets $800 million. No, $8 million every day of government benefits. Elon Musk, $8 million every day. You could use a fraction of that, right? And live very well. But he's getting those. So that's what it's about. That's what Let's Go Help is about, to make sure you know about every government benefit you have. Government and nonprofit organizations, the people in our country that help other people, that represent 40% of everything in our country, are organizations that help you for free, okay? 40%. 60% of our country makes you pay for their services to help you. 40% gives free services and free money to help you. That's what I'm trying to teach people about. And that's what letsgohelp.com is that now 15,000 people that help each other get these benefits. We all live here, and we all don't know. If you're a fat cat, you got a lobbyist getting your benefits. If you're not a fat cat, you got letsgohelp.com.